Welcome to another episode of Let's Think About It with Dr. E. I'm your host, Dr. Erica Hendricks, and I want to thank you for riding this thing out with us for the last couple of months. It's been an amazing ride. But today we're going to dig deep into a topic I think is very befitting: quiet quitting, the mental health behind career burnout, boundaries, and the DEI backlash. Let's think about it, Dr. E. We want to tackle the issues and not avoid them. And today we're going to dig deep because we're going to talk about the rollback of this executive order and how it's going to affect those that were employed by the DEI. So let's talk about burnout. Many people are burnt out from their places of workplaces. They're burnt out from their careers. They're burnt out from a lot of things because they've been working in toxic environments. There's a culture that pushes us back whenever we get resistance. And so some people are really on the verge of burnout. So for some people, this DEI is a way for them to get out of their places of employment and maybe seek other employment. But for other people, they've built their whole career around DEI. And so now what does this mean for a lot of people? But let me give you a little statistics. The Gallup poll says that 70% of workers feel burnt out currently on their job. For marginalized groups, the stress intensifies due to systemic inequalities. So reclaiming personal time isn't failure, it's self-preservation. So let's reframe the narrative. Mental health boundaries are essential. They are not optional. Let me say it again. Mental health boundaries are essential, not optional. So the rolling back the progress of DEI of Executive Order 11246 was a milestone against the workplace discrimination. Now its order is under attack. The rollback signals that fairness isn't a priority. Without these protections, marginalized workers face isolation, inequality, and the DEI initiatives, often framed as divisive, are lifelines for underrepresented groups. So dismantling them damages trust, it amplifies stress, and it sends a chilling message that you don't belong. So mental health and DEI is something that I think that we're gonna have to face, and we're gonna have to challenge, and we're gonna have to speak power to truth to it. What is it gonna really do for the mental health of those that were objects and subjects of DEI? So inclusion didn't foster just a belonging and productivity, but it was proven that DEI protected people in marginalized groups. So those of color, women, those that had mental health issues could work safely and not become discriminated against. So now we're gonna see an increase in anxiety, we're gonna see an increase in depression and a disconnection because those that worked in that environment felt a sense of belonging, a sense of inclusion. And now that that's been taken away from them, what is that going to do for many people that are employed? I have several friends that were employed under the DEI initiative, and many of them have lost their jobs. And many of them now are looking to find employment. But the question is, they built their career around DEI. So now they've got to now find a new norm for them. What is their career options going to look like? Where are they going to be able to seek employment? So they cannot now use discrimination as a form of employment. It now leaves them vulnerable to the point that do they have to hire me because I'm a woman? Do they have to hire me because I'm Black? Do they have to hire me because of my gender or my ethnicity? These are things that we're going to have to contend with as it relates to DEI, as we relate to the fact that many of them now are facing the reality that my race does not matter. My gender does not matter. So now they have to go and apply for jobs based on merit of their ability to do the job, not based on race, color, or sex. Am I able to do this job that I went to college for, to get a degree from? Am I able to work in the human resource field and hire people without bias? Am I able to go in the job because you hired me, because there were certain jobs you got funded because you had so many minorities that you employed, so many women that you employed. You were able to get contract and funding based on DEI initiative. Now, what does that do to many of our places of employment? Because many of us got funding from DEI. So now a lot of those funding opportunities and initiatives are going away. So there are whole departments that are going to face layoffs because of DEI. So the mental health behind that, we're going to now have to address. Because now if I was the one main breadwinner for my family and I worked under the DEI initiative, now I have to tell my family I no longer am employed. The question faces now, am I going to be able to get unemployment because I was a DEI worker? Am I going to be able to get assistance because I now was attached to an initiative, attached to a whole department that was developed out of DEI because of discrimination? And now that we've gotten rid of the 1965 Civil Rights Act of discrimination, that's now gone away. Am I able to get assistance because I was attached to that? So now I'm going to face a form of discrimination, be it all not unfair, but let's be clear. I may be discriminated against because I work for DEI. I got funding through DEI. So now we have to come to the point of now, where am I going to seek employment? So I'm concerned about the mental health of those who worked in those departments. I'm concerned that the lack of compassion that's going to come with that. So I beg you, I really want to plead with you all in this episode that if you know someone that was employed under the DEI initiative and you have the ability to hire them, please do so. Because they were doing good in this initiative. Let's be clear, this initiative protected a lot of people from discrimination. And so now we have to contend with the fact that now that I no longer have those protections in place, am I able to seek employment with fairness? So now we have to look at the fact that those that are going to suffer from being marginalized, they're going to suffer from the ability of finding fair work. Degreed, several of them got several degrees. I know a doctor that works for the CDC. Her job was for research and development for the lungs and the e-cigarettes and how that affected your ability to breathe. She no longer has a job now. So now think about the implications. Now that research and development of how that's going to affect us, we're going to see cancer on the rise, because now we're going to see sicknesses on the rise, because now you're getting rid of research and development, which was very crucial to how we move and how we develop initiatives, how we develop different funding sources, how we knew how to target our dollars in the medical field. So now we're getting ready to see, this is just not you getting rid of initiative. This is going to affect where you spend your dollars. This is going to affect your medical care. This is going to affect your children educationally, because there were some DEI initiatives that were funded by the school system. So this is not just you getting rid of somebody because they were employed. This is going to affect us across the board. Now, let's look at the mental health implications that's going to come with this. Because some people do not have the strong fortitude mentally to face the fact that I'm being let go from my job. I've built my whole career on that. How am I going to make it? And the fact of the matter, you're going to have to face the fact that some of them may say you don't belong in this field. The ability to say that you don't belong is going to be something that's going to be very crucial. And I need for you to hear me. What is that going to look like for you to tell me, I'm sorry, I can't hire you? And guess what? They don't have to tell you why they're not going to hire you. They don't even have to give you no explanation. Because if you don't know, in North Carolina, we are an at-will state. What does that mean, Dr. Erica? They can let you go at will, and they don't have to give you an explanation. So they can come in today and let you go of your job, and they don't have to tell you why. Now that we have the DEI, they can come in today and say, I'm getting rid of the whole department, and they can tell you because I want to. And guess what? You can't sue. Who you gonna sue? Because you can't say it's discriminatory, because now DEI has gone out the window. The 1965 Act of Discrimination has gone out the window. We have nothing to stand on. So I'm concerned that the mental health of many of our individuals is going to be weary. We're going to see depression go up. We're going to see anxiety go up. The stress in the workplace is going to go up. So how do I preserve my mental health in the midst of all these changes? Might I add, if you've got to find yourself a place, an outlet, and a community that you can feel safe in, that you can say, hey, listen, I was let go of my job. Can you help me find employment? This is where networking is going to be very crucial. This is where somebody's got to know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody that can get your foot in the door. It is now time for you not to let your pride get in the way. Pride is going to have to go out the door. And you're not going to have to rely on a community of people that you know that you feel safe with, that you can say, listen, and become vulnerable. Listen, hey, my job ended. I got to find employment. Then number two, this is where we talked about in previous episodes. You've got to now find a plan for your life. You got to redefine what your vision looks like for your family. You got to now redefine for what you're going to do next. See, planning doesn't start when something happens. Planning should start before it happens. We talked about not just a vision, but a reflection. I got to reflect upon now that I'm no longer employed, or I'm facing, or I'm hearing that I may be let go, or my department may be downsized. You can't start planning when it happens. I need for you to start planning right now. So you got to have foresight. You got to foresee what is next, what is coming. So now you got to start planning ahead of time. If the changes come, if I'm on the brink of a downsize, or now I've been let go, what is that going to look like? You may have to take a job that you not necessarily want to take, but you got to feed your family. You got bills you got to pay. We don't know if unemployment is going to even be an option. There's a lot of things that's going to be cut. But I need for you to understand that you've got a plan. It's now for you to have strategic planning. That's a word you haven't heard before, but you got to strategically plan your next move, your next ability to move forward. So for employees of color, mental toil is real. So I now need for you to find an outlet. Find an outlet that you can unplug, you can de-stress, that you not find yourself in such a cycle like a hamster. You're on a wheel and you're running and you're not going anywhere. I need for you to have an outlet. If that's nothing but 30 minutes a day, taking a walk. I need for you to get a place where you can get an outlet, you can think. You can be free of the stress. Walking does several things. Number one, it opens your lungs. It gives you ability to see. Walking gives you ability to really just explore the opportunity and make that walk, if you can, outdoors. Because the outdoor environment is open. You're free to really think. You're not closed in. So give your space the opportunity to exercise. See, these are things that will lower your ability of your stress. It gives your mental health ability to rest. But then the other thing, for those of us that are believers, begin to find yourself in the Word of God and begin to get a plan. God, what's my next move? The Word of God will show you what is your next. For God said, I have a plan for you. God truly has a plan for your life. He has a plan that you would prosper and be in good health. He has a plan that your next move, if you put it in his hand, he'll show you what your next move. I don't play cards. I was slow. I couldn't catch on, y'all. I play Uno. So I couldn't play spades. I was one of them ones they didn't want nobody on their team because I overanalyzed every card, y'all. I'm thinking like, this doesn't make sense to me because I was analytical. It had to make sense for me to be able to play the game. But we're going to look at the game of Uno. There's a card in Uno called reverse. And whenever you lay that card down, that means you reverse the order in which you began to play. This is a good time to reverse whatever has happened in your life. This is an opportunity for you to start over. This is the opportunity for you to reverse the play. They thought you were out, but this next move for your life is going to be impactful. Reverse it on them. No, you might have let me go, but now is the time for me to horn into my passion. Now is the time to start that business that you've been laying dormant with. This is a time for you to exercise your gift, exercise your talent. This is the time for you to make that move. Reverse it back on them. You may be out in that place of arena, but it's time for you to write your next book. It's time for you to write your next story. This is the time to write another story, another chapter of your book. But create a new ending. It doesn't stop here because they let you go. Create another move. Create a reverse. Reverse it back on them, because whatever they thought they did to you, it's not going to work, because you're going to have a plan for your life. It is time for you to hold yourself accountable. And don't let what they did to you hold you hostage. But remember, there is a plan over your life that God's not going to let you die in this, but you can rebound and you can bounce back if you write the plan and you do it God's way. Quitting is not an option. Don't you quit in this season. It's time to write a new plan. This reminds us to prioritize our well-being. Let's advocate for those in the workplace, but more than anything, advocate for yourself. You need to sanctify your mental health. You need to cover your mental health. You need to covet your mental health, and don't let anybody else steal your peace or your joy. Because this peace you have, if you place it in God's hand, the world can't take it from you. Because the peace and the joy that surpasses all understanding, it will guide your heart and your mind if you place it in God's hand. So I challenge you today, don't quit. Don't fall prey to what they said couldn't happen. Write your next move, because I believe your next move is going to be big. And people are going to look and say, how did you make it out of this? There, by the grace of God, that I didn't quit. But it's time now to pick up that gift or that talent, that side hustle that you've been slowly working on. Now it's time to launch it. There's nothing wrong with having multiple streams of income. It's the time to have it. The time to launch that business. The time is now. It's time, because you are the only one holding you up from your next. Don't quit. So today I want you to challenge yourself beyond your normal ability. Exceed your own expectations. But more than anything, let your mental health guide you. But let it be the peace that guides you, not the chaos. Because whatever you do in this season is going to move you to your next move. So whatever you do, don't quit. God has a promise over your life. Stay focused, stay strong. Let's think about it with Dr. E.